Show.
This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair Show, and today I'm pleased to have Jack Grisham, singer of T.S.O.L, on my show today. And you're also running for governor.
Yeah, gubernatorial candidate.
How did T.S.O.L reform?
Okay, well, the first time we reformed was actually in '89.
Okay.
But we didn't get the record out till '91 because we're such flakes that they recorded it in '89. It took 2 years to get the damn thing out.
Huh.
And it was just kind of like the first thing was just, I'd say it was even really money oriented at first. It was just kind of, hey, let's do this. We got offered a crazy amount of money for a show, you know, and the Offspring were on that bill. The Offspring opened for us in that show, and the Cadillac Tramps. It was huge, you know, 3,000 people. It was like, that was almost like one of the first like punk reunions that they had. And so it was really money driven, and it was a little rough because we weren't ready to get back together. You know, there was a lot of trouble, you know, the drugs, the alcohol thing.
I don't even think you guys owned your name at that time, did you?
No, we didn't. We had to go under Lost or whatever it was, yeah. And they had to pay them off. I mean, that was a nightmare. They had to pay those guys in the other T.S.O.L off to let us play the show, and that just pissed me off more than anything, you know. And then they played a show at the same night as We're the Real T.S.O.L. You know, it was just a joke. So anyway, that didn't last. That only went, you know, a couple of months. We did a few more shows, and we're done with it. And then we stayed apart for a long time. And then how we reformed this time was real strange. It was there was an art show up in Santa Monica, and it was like a history of punk art show. And one of the guys that was putting on the show, he called me up. He said, "Hey, Jack, would you be interested in coming down here and singing a song, a T.S.O.L song with like a house band?" And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's kind of weird, but yeah, I guess, you know. And then I had talked to Mike Roach, and he was good. He's out of prison, and he was doing real good. You know, I said, hey, Mike, would you be interested in doing this? And he goes, yeah. He goes, hey, you know, Ron's clean too now. Ron's doing good. So then we called Ron. So then I told the guy at the art show, I said, hey, well, the three of us will do it with another drummer, and we'll just play a show. And the guy's like stoked. He's like, yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
So we went down there, and we played 3 songs, you know, and the first 3 songs, the lighting rack fell over. A guy got his nose broken by accident. One of the security guys, I got him with an elbow. You know, so there's blood, and the PA is falling, the light rack's down. It's like, you know, it's like insane. And it was so fun. And then after that, someone said, hey, would you like to go on a tour? It's like, well, yeah, we'll go on a tour. And then it was, hey, would you like to make a record? And then, hey, would you like to make another record? So we've never really reformed. We're just kind of together doing stuff when it comes up.
Well, it sounds great.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Now, what was the fan reaction to the Disappear CD?
It was okay. You know what I mean? It's like some people liked it, but it was still... See, the trouble with TS was some of those early records we made, they were so good that you're just stuck in that. Like some people, they just want to hear that over and over and over again. It's like, hey, can you write songs like this? Well, no, we can't. We can't. Because that's a whole different period of time. We don't think like that. We don't play like that anymore. You know, so some people said, hey, I really like the new CD, it sounds great. Some people said, hey, it's not hard enough, it's, you know, it's not this, it's not that, you know, whatever. So it took a while for people to get back on track. And I think what hurt us is having that big gap that we had, when we had stopped playing for so long, we got that big gap. People weren't as willing to change with us as the fans were earlier on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like earlier on, they'd seen all the changes that we had made, and they said, okay, well, this is a different record, this is a different this. But later on, when we got back to playing again, the people are going, oh, I want them to sound like this. I want them to do Code Blue over and over again. You know, that kind of crap. So it was a little rough, but then after time, people are getting used to that record. And when they hear it live also, they appreciate it more. Because live, all the songs fit in really well.
You know, when I heard Disappear, my reaction wasn't that it was that different from your original stuff. The spirit is totally there.
Yeah. Well, it is, but I'm just saying the way people think. It's the way people think. They want to hear F the government, you know what I mean? They want to hear, you know, Ronnie Reagan, kill Ronnie Reagan, you know, come on.
I thought there was some songs on there were like anti-cop and stuff like that were really like still in that same genre that still had that rebellious...
Yeah,
know.
There's a bunch of them on there that are still like that. There's a song, Sodomy, on there that's against organized religion. I mean, there's a lot of it that are still the same.
Yeah, so maybe people are just not listening.
Yeah.
It's just a knee-jerk reaction like, oh, I want to get back to listening to the EP again or whatever. So, you know. Now, why did you decide to run for governor?
Oh, well, because I can. That's one thing. I mean, here's the thing about our government. We always get so screwed up about the government thing. Everyone's always mad, and we just feel like we can't do a thing about it. And we really can't. I mean, bottom line is you can't do a thing about it. That's the bottom line. We don't have enough money to do this. We can't get into that political machine. You know, it's millions and millions of dollars it takes, especially and to get in a spot where you can make some real change. Now, see, we can run for smaller offices and then take the next step up and the next step up and the next step up. But by the time we've gone through all those offices to even have a chance to run for the top thing, you've been filtered out. All the passion, all the heart has been filtered out of you. You're now just another part of that political machine, just another ass-kissing candidate. That's what it is. So the reason why I ran for governor is this is the only election that you can walk right off the street. Walk right off the street and all of a sudden you're governor of California.
Yeah.
And that rules, man. I mean, you're walking off the street unfiltered. And there's never going to be another chance for that to happen. With an election like this, it's only a month, it's 60 days long or whatever it is between that. So the big money thing doesn't come into play as much. You know, yeah, they can do their ads and stuff, but especially now with computers, email is unbelievable. You can cover a 14-year-old kid with a mohawk in his garage can cover the state of California with emails just as easy as anybody before. So it's like this is a perfect time for one of us to stand up and say, we'll take back. We're going to take our government over. And that's why I'm doing it.
Now, what's your platform?
Well, I mean, there's tons of stuff. I mean, immigrant rights, that's a huge one, especially coming from Southern California. Our culture is so enmeshed, you know, with the Hispanic population that immigrant rights are something that we should all be fighting for. I mean, these people that come over, they're told, you know, this when the 187 went down, they said, well, no, we're not going to give these people services. We're not going to let their children go to school if they're here. I mean, that's unbelievable to me that we can't care for people. I mean, you know, healthcare, you know, that's another huge issue. It's like how many people, there's 6 or 7 million people in California that have no insurance. I got 2 kids, right? Now, let's say I'm living in below poverty level here. Below poverty level, I got a shack, there's no running water, there's no electricity, I can't get my kids food, but I know 1,000 miles away, if I could risk my life and go 1,000 miles away, I could get money to take care of my family. Now, loving my kids and loving my family, I'm gone. I'm going to go 1,000 miles, I'm going to risk getting killed, I'm going to risk whatever it takes to put food on those kids' table. And to me, that's a hero. That's someone that should be looked at as a hero. Our whole country was founded on the backs of immigrant labor. That's what this country's about. I mean, that's how we were founded. You know what I'm saying? And we need to still support that. And if you look at the Statue of Liberty, it says, bring us your poor, your tired, your huddled masses. Not your rich, not your well-to-do, not your vacationers with a checkbook.
Yeah.
It doesn't say it, man. And I think these people need to be supported. I mean, that's how I feel. You know, and the healthcare thing is huge. If you talk to people nowadays, if you talk to your friends and you get a job, a lot of times the first thing they'll say is, I got benefits. Like it's a Christmas present.
It is a Christmas present.
Right. But see, I believe that that's a right, that we should be taking care of our people. You know, and there's a lot of greed involved in that system too. You know, and the workers' comp thing's blown out. It's a mess. It's a mess. And, you know, one of the problems with California, because they talk about, well, where's this funding going to come from? Where this funding? One of the problems with California is that we're allowed, I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing at the same time. We're allowed to put initiatives on the ballot. And when we put these initiatives on the ballot, they always say, give us more funding, but we don't want to pay any taxes. More funding, no taxes. So we end up passing these initiatives and we're told we have to fund these programs and we have no money to fund them. I mean, you know, we're $38 billion over.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nightmare. And so one of the things I was proposing during the budget is that we have a cap. We have a cap on our budget. And we used to have that. The GAN initiative was something where we had a cap on the budget, and then this proposition like 111 took the legs out from under it, and it screwed us up again. But anyway, we need a cap on our budget. We need to say this is the projected revenue of our state, this is what we're going to bring in, and this is the growth for a state in this period, and we cannot spend anything more than that. And too bad. And it's like, I'm for health care, and I'm for social reform and all that, but the bottom line is there's no money there. There's no money there. And what the president-governor should have been doing is vetoing all these initiatives, you know, and that's what I'll do. As much as I care for someone, if I end up in that office and they send me a bill that says, hey, this is a bill that's going to fund orphans of veteran seamen that have perished in the war, if there's not a cashier's check stapled to it or a real way to fund it, I'll veto it. I mean, because we just don't have the money. We just don't have it.
I know you're a big supporter of teachers.
I mean, there's no money. These people are, they don't realize there is no
It's really
money.
sad.
It's been completely wasted. I mean, and that's the whole thing about that cap. There needs to be a cap on the budget, and then you need to go through and just clear out these programs. There's outdated programs that we're wasting money on. There's salaries that are just out of control. The spending is just rampant. I mean, there's got to be also, we need to do some creative financing. You know, I'm not against corporate sponsorship of programs. You know, getting corporate sponsorships, going outside the state to help fund some of these programs. I mean, I wouldn't mind if kids got a school book and it said Pepsi on the front cover on it, as long as we don't got to pay for it and they have books. I mean, giving the book is the main thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so whatever we got to do, some creative financing in here, and it's a mess.
Cool, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I'm down with the corporations paying for school books.
Yeah, they suck money out of
kicking
us.
back
Yeah.
and kicking back money for education and stuff
Right.
like that. I mean, they're already giving millions upon millions to sports stars and stuff like that.
Yeah, so give some money to the kids. You know what I mean? Let's give more to the kids. And, you know, the other thing, the lottery thing's a joke. I mean, we got this lottery thing that's supposed to be giving money to the schools, and the actual percentage of what they give is a joke.
Oh, really? What is the
joke.
actual percentage?
I don't have it. I read it. I'm not going to give a quote because I can't give you the exact figure. But look, get on the internet and look it up. I mean, that's one thing I tell anybody. Read. Get on the internet and go look it up. All you got to do, you want to know about a bill, punch it up and read it. Don't just go and when you stand in the voting booth and you see this bill come up. That's one thing that's got me also pissed off about a lot of these legislators. When they put an initiative, they'll make the wording because they look at us like we're idiots. They're idiots, and if we say racial, profile, security in the bill, then we're going to go for it because we want security and we don't want racial profiling, so we're going to vote for this. And you have no idea that that's nothing to do with what the bill is.
Well, you can't take it at face value. You have to research.
And the trouble is, we get up there and people don't research. They just check. That sounds good. That sounds good. That sounds good. You know, and they check it off. It's a mess.
Now, Jack, how do you feel people will accept a notorious anti-establishment punk rocker as governor?
Well, I think they're done with what they have now. People are done with it. Look at this. The government has become a burden on our back that we are not willing to bear. And something's going to happen. One way or another, something's going to happen. You know, and it's funny, there's some of these other candidates that are like, you know, it's a joke. It's like, hey, I'm a comedian and I'm running for governor. Well, let me tell you something, man. When you walk into the DMV and all of a sudden your car costs more to register than it did to buy, it's not a joke anymore. It's not going to be a joke.
Well, no, we can't. We can't afford even what the gas now is $2.13.
Come on, what we pay 40 cents more than anyone else in the state because of what we've done. I mean, the taxes, they laid this bunker tax. There's a bunker tax in the ports right now, and they laid that on these ships coming in to refuel, saying, well, we can just tax these ships. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. Well, you know what? They just don't fuel up in here anymore. They just go to Mexico and fuel up. They go to Canada and fuel up. They don't got to do it in our ports. So now we've lost like $128 million in the local ports because of this. I mean, this is it's just been bad business.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It is a nightmare, and you get madder and madder the more you read about it. And what's funny, it's like with Davis, Davis is running again saying he can fix it. Well, if you can fix it, why didn't you fix it the first time? What are you saying now you can fix it? And a lot of these other candidates, which is so funny, they're spending tens of millions of dollars to run for an office that you get paid $170,000 a year for. Now, if that's not mismanagement of funds...
Well, I mean, ultimately, it comes down to a power thing.
Right. Well, it's a power thing, it's whatever, but it's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. In the local food banks, look at like at the Midnight Mission, it costs 60 cents. 60 cents to feed a man. That's a meal, 60 cents. How many does $10 million feed? I mean, how many men does that feed? You know, it's these people are just throwing money around to stoke their own egos when there's people that are going hungry.
Well, Jack, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and there's a lot of that going on. You know, well, life isn't fair.
Right.
But I admire that you're taking this on, taking the bull by the horns.
Some of these guys, I mean, we all bitch about it. Everyone always bitches about it, but do something about it. You know what I mean? Do something. Don't just complain, send an email, and over your latte at Starbucks start crapping about the government. It's like, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do something about it. You know, and the cool thing is, by the time I'm corrupted, I'll be out of office. It's only 4 years. I go in uncorrupt. At the end of 4 years, I mean, I'll never get reelected. So it's like I got a good 4 years.
Well, you've lived the life of, I mean, a lot of people would think you were already corrupt as far as like in a moral viewpoint.
I think we need to define the word corrupt.
Yeah, in a moral, you know, like the Code Blue and things like that. A lot of people would say, well, this guy was into punk rock or whatever. But I mean, I think your life has taught you a lesson.
Right.
And I think you can use the lessons that you've learned from, because you're coming from the street. pretty much. You're the voice of the street, where a lot of these people, lived these, very...
I mean, that's a real point. See, here's the thing. One of the things they talk about is like prison reform or whatever, and I do some volunteer work in the prisons. When you go in and see it, I mean, you're actually there. I've been arrested. I've never been to prison, but I've been arrested a bunch of times. And you see how that situation works, right? These people, they can read a study about it, whatever, but if you've never been there, you don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know. It's like that thing, I don't know if you ever saw that movie Brubaker with Robert Redford, but he pretended that he was a convict and he went into a prison, but he was actually the warden because he wanted to really see what the prison was like. And then he came out one day and said, hey, I'm the warden, let me out. And they let him out, and then he really saw how it worked, right? So just going arrested, just going through the county system or whatever, you see how this thing works. You see how much we need reform in there. The prisons in California, I mean, one of the things is we incarcerate more people than any other country California does, except for China. I mean, that's ridiculous. We're putting first-time offenders behind bars, non-violent first-time offenders behind bars with violent offenders, and it just teaches them to be animals. I mean, we really got to basically revolutionize the whole prison system in California. It's a mess. It's a joke. It's not working.
Now, on a lighter note, how did it feel to see yourself in Rolling Stone magazine?
Well, I guess it was okay. I didn't pay attention. I don't care. No, I mean, God bless it. Yeah, Rolling Stone, that's great. But I just don't think, I'm a little clueless when it comes to that. I just don't think about it. Like somebody else will come, like now I'm thinking about it. You just brought it up. Now I'm thinking about it. Or somebody will go, hey, I saw you on TV or whatever. It's like, what do you think about that?
Well, when you were 17 years old, starting off in T.S.O.L, though, this would have been like a big deal. But now that you've lived...
Well, Rolling Stone was a hippie magazine, so I wouldn't have been...
Oh, you would have been anti...
Yeah, I was much more stoked to be on the cover of Flip Side. I don't care about that. I want to be on Flip Side.
That's true. You got a good point there.
Yeah.
Now, how do you approach being a father, considering your past? Are you kind of an Ozzy Osbourne type of dad, or I'm
a little more conservative. I don't know. I'm probably, I'm glancing over because my daughter's sitting behind me, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm pretty conservative, but I'm like not an Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, I liked it when she got in trouble. It's funny because my daughter and her friends were doing. I'll tell you a quick story. It's
okay.
Like my daughter and her friends were doing some recycling one day. And it's just, see, I don't go with that. I mean, I understand it, but I come from that punk rock thing where it's like, hey, kill the whales, club baby seals. That's how I still think, And they came back and they were recycling. They came back with a bunch of bottles and cans. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm not going to have any recycling in my house. So it was just kind of funny. So, and it's, a lot of the stuff that she does, I've already done. So it's hard to really get something over on me. Or she'll try to tell me, she'll go, look, Dad, people are nice. People are kind. These guys I don't know that I just got a ride to the show with, they're all nice guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. I'm the kind of guy that used to take people like you to shows, and I was not a nice guy.
Also using your life experience to bring up your daughter, too.
Well, a little bit. Yeah, you try. Yeah.
Is there?
I mean, no matter what, it's like no matter what, your kids they think you're a geek.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Look, you can be in one of the most popular punk bands around, but you're still a geek, as far as I'm concerned.
The dichotomy is odd. It really is. So now let's talk about the new CD, Divided We Stand.
Right.
What's the message, and how do you feel it differs from Disappear?
Well, I think it might be a little more political, maybe a little bit, on Divided We Stand. And I think a lot of it's like personal politics. I mean, it's what are you really doing about yourself? That's really what it's about. It's like you can bitch about the government, you can bitch about this, you can bitch about this, but it's got to start with you. What changes are you making in yourself? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about the way you treat other people, the way you act towards others? That's important. So it's almost like it's real political, but a lot of it's like real personal politics, kind of.
Differs from Disappear sonically.
Well, sonically, I think it's a little more mature. We got Greg Keane to come back and play keyboards with us, and he was on Beneath the Shadows. Yeah. We brought Greg in, and just I think the musicianship is a lot better, and we really just put a lot of heart into this one and really cared. I pissed some people off. I can always tell if a record's going to be good if people are mad at me. Like why we're making it. If they're mad, then I know it's.
Who was mad? Who was mad?
Well, everyone gets mad at me. Like the band was mad. They get a little mad because I get a little driven. Like if I really get behind something, I start getting driven, and then I really don't care what happens. Because the end is going to justify the means.
Do you bring them the songs, or
no? We write together.
Okay, so
we write together.
It is a collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah, Ron and I will sit around. Ron and I did most of the writing, and we sit around and we work on stuff, and then bring Mike in and write with Mike. But I'm saying once we get recording, it's like, come on, be there, go. You know, it's like really, I get real evil football coach guy.
Cool.
That kind of thing.
It works.
You give me more. You know, I don't care if your fingers are bleeding. Come on. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Well, I've listened to the whole CD and it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. And one of the songs that we talked about earlier, but I want more insight on it, is a song called Fuck You Tough Guy.
Yeah.
Okay, now what really inspired that? Where is that coming from in here?
I mean, just thinking of like weaker kids that get picked on. I mean, I was a picker on guy. I wasn't exactly a nice guy. You know what I mean? And then you start reviewing your life. You look back over how you used to be, you know, and I thought, God, you know, how'd I treat people? I wasn't very kind. And then it's basically written from the perspective of a kid dealing with like a school military type society where these people are picking on him.
Is there any hope for the future in those situations?
You know what? Sometimes I think no. I mean, sometimes it's really depressing. It's hard to keep going sometimes because you just keep looking at it. You get blow after blow after blow, and you think things are going to change, and they seem like they just get worse.
What do you think the defining moment in your life was where you went from Jack Grisham, Dance With Me, Beneath the Shadows, Cathedral of Tears, where you mentally changed? Because there is a big change as far as your viewpoint on life.
Right.
Where did that happen?
Well, I think I started thinking about other people. You know what I mean? I stopped drinking and stopped that, and then I started looking back and realizing that I was just like had torn apart the lives of everyone I came into contact with. I was just totally selfish, self-centered, and self-driven, just completely ego-driven. That's what it was. And no, I didn't care anything about you. You were a victim. That's as far as I looked. You were just a victim, somebody that I could use to get to somewhere else.
Have you done recompense or repented to these people?
I've done a lot. Yeah.
And how?
I mean, basically, the funny thing is when you go to make amends to all these people, you know what I mean, and you're trying to write some names down. That you know, basically, mine's the phone book. I owe a lot. I mean, I owe and owe. I'll owe forever. So, and I just try to do the best I can now. Now, like I said, doing volunteer work, you know, going to the prisons, talking about people. I go to schools, I talk to kids and stuff about, you know, drug and alcohol abuse, whatever. I just try to give it back as much as I can to pay back for what I did.
Okay, where did you get the title for Divided We Stand?
Well, titles suck. I have such a hard time with titles, and it was just kind of, and there's other bands that have the same title of a record. You know, it's like, I hate naming stuff. I don't like naming songs. Like, we don't even like naming songs. If it was up to me, it would just be record 1, song 1, song 2, record 1, song 3, record 3. You know, that's how I would do it.
T.S.O.L, record 1. T.S.O.L.
Right, yeah, and not name any of the songs either, because I hate naming something. I mean, what are you going to do? So, Divided We Stand it just kind of came out. Hey, Divided We Stand, it's kind of cute, you know, boom. And then later on, it's like the band's fighting, you know, the country's upset, you know, we're torn apart with war, you know, the state's torn apart, so it actually fit in.
You have a record release party that's going to be going down at the Galaxy Theater
on the 20th
Santa
of
Ana,
September.
On the 20th of September. Tell me, what can people expect?
Well, I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? You know, I mean, there'll probably be some news people there because of this whole government thing. You know, it's like, hey, the governor, punk rock wannabe governor, plays a show. I mean, I'm sure they'd like to go down there and catch me in a dress yelling "F the president." You know,
yeah.
So it's like,
but it's not going to happen.
Well, who knows? They're going to get what they're going to get, and you know, they've got a couple of good bands on the label and a couple of good bands on the show, and we'll just have some fun. I mean, you never know what's going to happen at a show anyway. So,
who do you think a T.S.O.L fan is today?
Well, they're all over the place. I mean, I get kids, you know, I got like tons of letters from 12 and 13-year-old kids saying, I wish I could vote for you. You know, I want you to be my governor. You know? From little kids all the way up to, you know, guys in their 40s, 50s that like us. I mean, it's a pretty big stretch of people.
So you see a younger audience at your shows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, we'll go to shows and there's, you know, moms dropping their kids off outside. Yeah, it's kind of
trippy.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Now, what was the inspiration for the song Sex and Violence and the song Loaded?
Yeah, well, Sex Not Violence, I mean, that's just Make Love Not War. That's basically what it is. I mean, a lot of that, you know, a lot of the fighting, just pent up homosexual aggression. You know, that whole trip. It's like, hey, come on, man, just have sex. Let's knock the fighting off. Let's have some fun. I mean, basically, that's what it was.
And Loaded.
And Loaded was about a friend of mine that had gotten, it's kind of weird, it's about a friend of mine that had gotten loaded and I was worried about him. And then it was looking at my own alcohol and drug abuse through what he was going through. So it's kind of a mix. It's like meeting my friend and meeting this disease at the same time.
Okay, so what's next for Jack Grisham and T.S.O.L.?
Well, we're going to play this show, and then I'll be moving to Sacramento to fill the office of governor.
Right on.
So we're going to have to play.
That's a good to have a positive attitude.
Our local shows will be moved to Sacramento. And then someone asked me, they go, well, how are you going to tour? Well, that's what the lieutenant governor's for. When Jerry Brown was doing his presidential campaign, and the lieutenant governor covered his post. So when I go on tour, we'll just get Bustamante to cover my business when I'm gone.
Jack, it's been great having you on the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show.
Here, thanks.
This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with Jack Grisham signing off.
The Blairing Out Show.